Hundred Mob in the building. We want to shout out Mo Moody with that No Love featuring Mr. Kane and featuring Kevin Gates, man. You already know the song picking up traction, man, all over the internet, bro. Y'all need to check that classic Kevin Gates verse. You already know what it is with me. You already know how I gotta get it in. We want to talk about NBA Youngboy, and we want to talk about Baby Joe. We want to talk about P.Y. Young. We want to talk about Jonah B. And we want to talk about BBG Young. And straight up and down, we need to talk about it, man, because like we're gonna break this down in a real way. We see, NBA Youngboy, the numbers he doing up on the Master Tour, and we got plenty of questions that been asked. Who's getting kicked off the tour? I've been trying to update y'all. Who allegedly been kicked off the tour. Alleged things going on, man. But it's always been a number one question about this whole thing, man. NBA Youngboy been performing, night after night, and people always wanted to ask, why Baby Joe wasn't there. And we mentioned that Baby Joe should be there in earlier videos, man. But now it's seeming like that, this whole thing about him taking money, he, is promoting, him getting bans right now. So obviously he ain't the one take the money if he recently posting stuff like this up on his Instagram. You understand what I'm saying? But BBG Youngin is NBA Youngboy cousin, man. You know what I'm saying? Because that's Boozilla cousin. We been said this in videos back as well. And D-Dog and BBG Youngin, you know what I mean, which is BBG Wells' cousin as well. You know what I mean? Niggas is, connected, bro. So he been up on tour with NBA Youngboy the whole time, bro. You know what I'm saying? So with BBG Youngin being up on tour with NBA Youngboy the whole time, he couldn't have had a real problem with Baby Joe anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because how you gonna have a problem with Baby Joe if, you know what I'm saying, you let BBG Youngin be up on tour with you the whole time? This is something I forgot to mention. You know what I'm saying? You could, frequently and, all the time really see BBG Youngin posting stuff and where they at on the tour, and him with D-Dog, you know what I'm saying? He done been on stage and some more stuff. Even playing the background. It's a lot of them out there, man. But what I wanted people to see is that Baby Joe is actually on tour now with him. You know what I'm saying? They actually, BBG Youngin bought Baby Joe with him. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, if he out there now, you know what I mean? He actually had a chance to, speak to NBA Youngboy, because in that recent interview he just put out, he didn't say nothing about him being cordial with NBA Youngboy and being on tour because of his pride. You know what I'm saying? Now they obviously got a chance to talk. Now let's talk about, this P.Y. Youngin thing. You know what I mean? And why Baby Joe and Jonah B was falling out and not seeing eye to eye. Because around the time NBA Youngboy and P.Y. Youngin was actually beefing and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, was due to things that P Youngin was doing. You know what I'm saying? And here's what you got to understand, man. When we talk about Baby Joe and we talk about 4K Trey, you already know one thing he always shouted out with Big Dump. You know what I'm saying? And y'all got to remember when P Youngin and, Jonah B, were going at it with Lil Dump, they was actually trying to say that Big Dump was a rat. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, with Jonah B actually coming out and saying that, then that's going against Baby Joe automatically. So that's what y'all got to understand. So that's one reason why they won't actually see eye to eye. I told y'all I was going to break this down, man, because a lot of things going on that y'all may not understand. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about, Jonah B, we talking about, family. You know what I'm saying? With Baby Joe and all of them. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand, Fight Thing and Level are brothers, you know what I'm saying? Which is, Block Daddy, you know what I'm saying? So who is the sisters? That's Boosie Boy B Mama and Jonah B Mama. So you got to understand one thing about it. They was actually, family. So this one trying to tell you, with the P Youngin thing, he was trying to tell Jonah B to chill out, man, because don't get in between that, with him being family anyway, you know what I'm saying? Because that did create a little divide or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But Baby Joe didn't let that get into the fact that they was family. P Youngin was over there saying some of everything, you know what I'm saying? And we gonna get into that because at the end of the day, it was something real going on between P Youngin and Lil Dump, you know what I mean? It caused a divide, and they was actually trying to get at each other and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? P Youngin would go live and say that Ben 10 used to get punched by NBA Youngboy and stuff like that, and he ain't used used to do nothing and all that. I'm gonna let y'all hear some of what, niggas was saying and stuff to each other or whatever, because when we talk about, you know what I mean, the BBGs, and we talk about Jonah B and all of that, he was still, you know what I mean, repping and still being around, BBGD, because you gotta understand, Jizzle and BBGD are brothers, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you know what I mean, BBGD, he had, got out the way and, was turning his life around that time. You see what I'm saying? So before he did, you know what I'm saying, Baby Joe was trying to tell him to chill out, you know what I'm saying? But, P. Youngin, because he was posting stuff about King Von, like I said, he was posting stuff about Lil Dump and his daddy being a rat and everything like that. I mean, what did you want him to do? Stand by Jonah B. But Jonah B was actually, he had a baby by P. Youngin's sister. So when he get to talking about Dump and they went live, the Dunway News posted Dump and, P. Youngin going live asking where he at and all of this and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Then right after this live, P. Youngin was supposed to have been, unalived, and everybody ran with it. So, y'all got to remember all of this, man, what's going on. But we got to understand that people thought P. Youngin was gone after that, you know what I'm saying? So this 4K Trey on 4K Trey situation. Now, y'all got to understand, after that, it was things going on, and, people thought, it was what it was. Let me let y'all hear it.
I was a youngin', man. We turned up. Look, hey, since hey, Lil Dump, what we smoking out of? What we smoking out of, huh? I been smoking out the pieces I was a youngin'.
So after hearing that, people sit up there and they got mad at him for popping back out. They saying that he faked his unaliving and all of that stuff like that. You know what I mean? They got the posting up on IG stories talking about he can't do this, he can't do that. You know what I mean? And basically taunting people, you see what I'm saying? And then Lil Dump came back and said that he was playing possum just to drop music. But everybody actually ran with it before they found out what was going on. So you already know Jonah B had to go to the internet and he had to say what he had to say about Lil Dump, you know what I'm saying? And it was pertaining to Big Dump, you know what I mean? And this whole, rat allegation. So it's like, he said this, I'm going to play with y'all what Jonah B said. Now, let me note that, P. Youngin during the time was in heavy beef with the Bleeders, you know what I'm saying? And we going to get into that later too.
Swear to God, I got $1,000 right now. I bet you my dad ain't a rat.
Now, like I said, they was into it with Lil Dump, but, Jonah B was, heavily into it with the Bleeders as well because, like I said, he had a baby by P.Y.'s sister. So it's like, if he got a baby by his sister, man, he not going to let nothing happen to him, bro. So he was riding. You see what I'm saying? So this put Baby Joe in a situation where he couldn't stand behind Jonah B no more, man. It ain't really had nothing to do with Spider Nation, but the thing where Main Music came back home, he was heavily into it with the Bleeders and all that happened while he bumped heads was because of Jonah B. You know what I'm saying? It's alleged that, Jonah B was not TBG or none of their work. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, P. Youngin and, Jonah B was into it with the Bleeders real heavy. You know what I'm saying? So this is where y'all got to understand one thing at. You know what I mean? So when niggas start bumping heads as far as Lil Dump and as far as P. Youngin, it couldn't have worked anyway. You see what I mean? But it's people that got babies by other people's sisters and stuff like that. And, he had to choose a side, I guess Jonah B felt like, man. But Lil Dump, at this point, I mean, I'm hearing that he back on tour and stuff like that. But I'm hearing that, you know what I mean, he thinking about unaliving himself as well and stuff like that through the pressures, you know what I'm saying? So that let me feel like that I don't know if he back on the tour or not, man. Because you got stuff showing him on stage, but I don't know if it's recent, you know what I mean? Because, people need to check up on him, man. I'm going to let y'all hear what he said as well, man. But that was a little bit about, why, Baby Joe and Jonah B really fell out and wasn't seeing eye to eye. It was all due to P. Youngin going at YB, you know what I mean? He got a baby by YB's sister, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I mean, YB not going to take the action that, you know what I mean, he would want to take and put the intention that he would want to into P. Youngin, you know what I mean, getting unalive, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Lil Dump took on all that frustration, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, man, y'all drop them comments, man. I'm out, man.
Sometimes people get tired of life, you feel what I'm saying? I'm one of them people. I'm really like one of them people. You feel what I'm saying? I kept it real with everybody. I held it down with everybody, my nigga. You feel me? Growing up, I ain't always had this, that, and other, nobody on my side to show me that it's love. You feel what I'm saying? So, with that being said, I bet y'all miss me when I'm dead, huh? I bet all y'all miss me when I'm dead, huh? Huh?